I'm going to tack something on to the announcements. If anyone wants to buy a Side with Love shirt, and I don't even know how much the UUA is charging, but if you can't afford it, see me. We can probably help with that. So, and we might have a couple to give away. We could have a raffle. Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. In all of who we are in this season of rebirth, we rise. It's a story as old as the earth, as ancient as life, as resilient as the human spirit. It's a story of descent into death and ascent into life, from winter into spring. A story of struggle, defeat, and despair, transformed into the triumph of hope. This is a season when rebirth is celebrated, the time when Persephone ascends from the underworld to dance once again with her mother Ceres in the warmth and light. When Isis revives her lover Osiris, the stories of death and resurrection, of return to life, run deep and wide in human mythology. Cultures around the globe and throughout human history celebrate the arrival of spring, the season of warmth and abundant growth, a time of birth and rebirth for the earth and all that lives on her surface. There are many holidays. Ostara celebrates the seasonal balance point at the threshold to the new life of spring. Nowruz is the Iranian or Persian New Year, a holy day for Zoroastrians, Baha'is, and some. Some in the Muslim communities also celebrate Nowruz. It's celebrated on the spring equinox. Purim recounts the courage and wisdom of Queen Esther as she saved the Jews in Persia from annihilation by the Persian king. Passover commemorates the exodus of the Jews from slavery in Egypt. Holi is the Hindu festival of colors that celebrates the triumph of good over evil, good harvest, and fertility. And the Easter story in the Christian faith celebrates the triumph of life over death as the heavy stone was rolled back so the prophet Jesus could rise from the tomb in which he was buried after his crucifixion, reinforcing his message of life-giving love for the world. The stories of this season remind us of what we know in our hearts, the resilience of the human spirit, courage in the face of despair, the ever-new dawn of possibility. These ancient stories call up the human courage to rise up from slavery into freedom, from oppression into honor, from cold into warmth, from darkness into light, inviting rebirth into new life, celebrating the power in our humanity to emerge from the darkness of mind, body, and spirit. We see and experience so much hatred and oppression in the world, so that sometimes the assaults of life seem too much to bear. And when it all becomes too much, we may take shelter in a space of darkness, the tomb of the soul. And we may choose to rise, as in the Easter story, we can push back the heavy stone that entombs us far from light and warmth. As Reverend Sarah York writes in her reflection, Rolling Away the Stone, in the tomb of the soul, we carry secret yearnings, pains, frustrations, loneliness, fears, regrets, worries. In the tomb of the soul, we take refuge from the world and its heaviness. In the tomb of the soul, we wrap ourselves in the security of darkness. Sometimes this is a comfort. Sometimes it is an escape. Sometimes it prepares us for experience. Sometimes it insulates us from life. Sometimes this tomb life gives us time to feel the pain of the world and reach out to heal others. Sometimes it numbs us and locks us up with our own concerns. In this season where light and dark balance the day, we seek balance for ourselves. Grateful for the darkness that has nourished us, we push away the stone and invite the light to awaken us to the possibilities within us and among us, possibilities for a new life in ourselves and in our world. That's the end of the quote. And so we rise, seeking new life. That is the essential promise of spring, of the small plants coming up from the seeds, the essential promise of faith and hope for life transformed. We emerge to rise from dissonance into harmony, from our solitary voice into the sweet choir of multitude, gathering all our diverse songs to create a new harmony. What is it to rise? What might rising look like in our own lives? We can roll away the stone and emerge into new light, not once, but many times in our lives. So I invite you, as you wish, to imagine a large stone that is blocking you in any part of your life, your own personal stone. And when you're ready, take a breath, and with any motion that is comfortable, gently push away the stone. When you're ready, gently imagine, take a breath, and gently, with love, honoring the role it has served, push away the stone. We rise in so many different ways, as many ways of rising as there are human individuals. In the hard times, we rise. It's a difficult reality of our fragile human lives that we will experience loss, perhaps many losses over time. And so it is part of the human experience to rise from loss into discovery. Not all losses are the same. Some are so heavy we stumble under their weight. Those losses may drop us into deep grief and require a long journey to rise into recovery. Other losses are less burdensome, but every loss takes an emotional toll. We have learned to recognize that every change is to some degree a loss, a relinquishment of what has been, and that recognition of loss can help us manage the letting go so we can move forward. Every loss forces us into a new space, and any new space opens a process of discovery as we learn to navigate an unfamiliar territory. And so from each loss, the large and the small, we lift ourselves from grief into discovery, into recreation of who we are and how we go forward. And so we rise. If you wish, you may take a breath and push away the stone. We rise from isolation into community, from our solitary nature into complex networks of connection that sustain us throughout our life. It has been said that we enter the world essentially alone and that we leave in the same way, and in between we are held in a web of community. It is our families and our tribes that assure our survival, not only when we are young and helpless, but throughout life. Only in community can our full humanity be developed and expressed, as we depend on the web of human community to be fully alive. As we rise to take our place within that relational web, we learn to see beyond our own needs and desires, to place common well-being above our own. This is intentional work of weaving our community networks, connecting across diversity, transforming our differences into an opportunity for deeper and more meaningful relationship. And as we rise into community, we lift the entire community along with us. We rise, we take a breath, and with love, push away the stone. We rise from absence into presence. If I'm in a place of privilege, I may feel like my life is protected, distant from the penetrating injustices of inequality and oppression, of racism and sexism, homophobia and transphobia, ableism and ageism, and intersectional supremacy in the world around us. But when we truly accept that an injustice to any one among us truly diminishes us all, we may choose to rise from our withdrawal, from absence into presence, to come forward as an ally and advocate for diversity equity, and inclusion, it is a choice we may choose to make, to rise from absence, to be fully present to the pain and possibility of the world. We rise as we take a breath and gently push away a stone. And so we rise from cold into warmth, from darkness into light, from isolation into community, from absence into presence. We rise from stillness into motion, from potential into action, exercising our power as we engage with the world in all its beautiful and difficult reality. And in our rising, we open ourselves to the transformative possibility of entering into a new state of being, a being with more wholeness, with more connection, a being of deeper humanity. And so one last time, I invite you to take a breath and push away the stone. As we rise, we roll back the stone, we may find ourselves invited to become something beyond what we have been, invited into a new way of being in the world. The life cycle of the butterfly is a rich example and metaphor for the journey of rising into a new identity in a new context. The Greek word metamorphosis means transformation or a change in shape, a term often used to describe the process a caterpillar goes through in becoming a butterfly. Caterpillars actually go through two distinct change processes. One is a process of incremental change, and the other is a transformation. When the tiny caterpillar first emerges from the egg on the branch of a tree carefully selected by the butterfly mama for its nutritional properties, it begins to eat and eat and eat and eat, and it grows like a teenager, kind of. In the process, it outgrows its own skin, so it sheds the old skin that doesn't fit anymore, revealing a new skin underneath to better accommodate its increasing size. The caterpillar may increase its size by 100 times during its life as a caterpillar, but it doesn't change its nature. It is still a caterpillar, albeit a bigger, stronger one. Our human lives are often like that of the caterpillar. As we grow in size and strength, we can do so without changing our essential nature, and that is fine. But sometimes in our lives, we are invited into transformation. For the caterpillar, after a time of growing, there occurs some mysterious biological signal that the time has come for deeper change. Crawling up to a suitable branch, the caterpillar spins a case called a chrysalis that completely encloses us. We can think of the chrysalis as a sort of tomb of the soul, creating a safe space for deep change. Within the chrysalis, the creature that is no longer caterpillar but not yet butterfly embarks on a radical process of transformation. The deep change, the transformation can occur because the caterpillar almost completely dissolves in the chrysalis. Only a few of the caterpillar cells are actually involved in being a butterfly. The rest of the caterpillar simply dissolves and slides away. It's described as becoming goo, so that the butterfly cells can take over and grow a new creature that was hidden there inside the caterpillar all the time. A new life beginning from the remnants of the old. Perhaps we, like the caterpillar, have the potential for both incremental change, eating, growing, and shedding our skin, getting bigger and stronger in our same identity, and for transformation, activating those hidden cells, our true birthright of butterfly possibility to emerge as something new, rising into a new way of being in the world. The caterpillar is genetically programmed for transformation, so it doesn't have a choice. It happens automatically. But we humans have the sometimes challenging gift of choice, of intentionality, that burden of free choice in which we must choose whether we will accept a transformative experience, choose to take a chance on retreating into the tomb of the soul, to dissolve who we have been, taking the risk to become something new, something not yet known, a a creature that floats on the breeze instead of inching along a branch, a creature that sips nectar rather than munching on leaves. When the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, yes, it appears as a radical transformation, but in truth, the butterfly cells were there all along, hidden deep within the caterpillar. So the metamorphosis simply activated the true butterfly nature to manifest and emerge into the world. Even so, the cells for our own transformation lie dormant within us until we are ready to push away the stone, ready to emerge into the light, to spread our wings and rise into flight on the breath of our new beginning. In this time of Ostara and Nowruz, of Purim and Passover, of Holi and Ramadan and Easter, that is what I wish for all of us in this beloved faith community, that we may rise when we are ready to journey the pathways and possibilities of transformation, drawing us upward into the true nature of our being. I close with words from Reverend Richard Gilbert, written for this season: a tomb is no place to stay. A tomb is no place to stay, be it a cave in the Judean hills or the dark cavern of the spirit. A tomb is no place to stay when fresh grass rolls away the stone of winter cold and valiant flowers burst their way to warmth and light. A tomb is no place to stay when each morning announces our reprieve and we know we are granted yet another day of living. A tomb is no place to stay when life laughs a welcome to hearts that have been away too long. And so we honor the traditions of this holy time in many faith traditions as we are lifted up on the rising energy of the season, emerging from darkness, the darkness of the tomb, into life renewed. So may it be. Amen, and blessed be.